Okay, we are going to be factoring trinomials where our a is greater than 1 using x method. So I have a couple of reminders over here. First reminder is good old standard form is that ax squared plus bx plus c. So it has to be in standard form before we can actually factor it. And then I also went ahead and I wrote out kind of a formula of where everything goes for the x method. So I'll be referencing that as we work through this problem. So the first thing is, in question 1, it is in standard form, so we are good to start labeling our a, b, and c. Now the reminder when you label your a, b, and c is it's only the coefficients, the numbers in front of x. So our a is attached to that x squared, so 2 is a. 5 is attached to x, so 5 is our b. And negative 3 is the constant, so no variable, that is our c. Now that we know our a, b, and c, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply the a times the c on the top of our x. So our a is 2 times our c is negative 3. 2 times negative 3 gives us negative 6. Now going to the bottom of our x. The bottom of our x is our b value, and our b is 5. Once we have the top and the bottom of the x filled out, we are going to now answer what I call the riddle. We need to find two numbers that multiply, so I'm going to do a multiplication dot, to negative 6, but then add, so I'm going to put an A for add, to 5. Now, for some people, the numbers can appear in their brain. They know exactly what those numbers could be, but if you struggle with that, let's go ahead and take out negative 6. And we are going to find factors of negative 6 using a factor T chart. Now, the reason we are finding factors of negative 6 because we are trying to multiply, which multiplication, we want to know what numbers multiply to negative 6. So just ignoring the negative for a moment, we'll use the number 6. Factors of 6 are 1 and 6, and 2 and 3. Now, because it is a negative 6, it means one of my factors must be negative. Now, because we don't know how it might add to 5, I'm actually going to make my smaller factors negative. So I'm going to make my 1 between 1 and 6. I'm going to make my smaller one negative. And between 2 and 3, I'm going to make the 2, the smaller factor, negative. Now, to cover my bases, because what if it's the bigger factor that is negative, I'm going to now rewrite these factors where I'm going to make the bigger factor negative. This allows me to see all of the options that multiply to negative 6, and now I can see which one would add to 5. So as I go through my list, negative 1 plus 6 would give me 5. Negative 2 plus 3 would give me 1. 1 minus 6 would give me negative 5. And then 2 minus 3 would give me negative 1. Now, our goal is to add to 5. So when I look at all of these options, the only one that adds to 5 is my first one, which is actually that negative 1 and positive 6. That adds to a positive 5. Once I know the factors, which again are now that negative 1 and positive 6, we're going to go back into the x method, and we are going to write these as the denominators or the bottom of a fraction. It does not matter what side you put them on. I'm going to just put negative 1 on the left, 5 on the right. But again, it doesn't matter what side you put the factors on. Now that we have the factors in their correct spot, the next step is to put ax on the top of those fractions that we just created. So going back to our original question, our a is 2, so we're going to use our 2, and then x is just part of it. So we've got 2x now on the top of both fractions. Now, it's always important to check if these can reduce. If they can reduce, we must reduce them. So starting with negative 2 over negative 1, when I look at 2 over negative 1, it doesn't really reduce to a simplified fraction. So I'm actually going to use that fraction as is. So I went ahead and circled it. Now going to the other side, we have 2x and 5. Same idea here. I can't reduce 2 over 5, so we're going to leave it as that fraction. Now that we have our fractions locked in, because we checked if they could reduce, they couldn't, we are now good to take these fractions for the final part of this process, which is writing it in that factored form. So I'm looking at these parentheses answer as our factored form. So using my first fraction, it's going to be open parenthesis. The top or the numerator of the fraction will go first, so 2x. And then the bottom is a -1, so I'm going to put -1, close parentheses. That is one factor of this. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the second fraction. We're going to open a new parentheses. Top goes first, so 2x. And then the bottom is a 5. It's a +5, so I'm going to do +5. Close parentheses. And then we are now done. This is our factored answer using the X method.